Let's set the scene in the paddock, where the air isn't just thick with exhaust fumes but with the weight of history. Ducati has just ignited the most significant development project in its corporate life. The machine in question is the Desmosedici GP Twenty-Seven, an 150cc prototype that isn't just another bike. It's a declaration of intent for the biggest technical earthquake MotoGP has seen in over a decade. On April 13th at the Misano circuit, this beast rolled out for its first track outing. Test rider Michele Pirro returned with a simple, world-changing message: everything works. Behind the scenes, Gigi Dall'Igna, the mastermind, gave a nod so subtle it was almost missed, confirming that the project is on the rails. Then came Mugello, a test that put the *** package on the asphalt for the first time. And then the world listened as reigning world champion Marc Marquez delivered the most head-spinning forecast any rider has ever made about a regulatory overhaul. Get this, the bikes will have less horsepower. Aerodynamics will be slashed. Ride height devices? Banned. The engine is shrinking from 1,000cc to 150cc. And yet Marquez, an 8-time world champion with more race wins than any active rider, believes the lap times will be eerily similar or even *** than what we're watching right now. That single prediction frames everything about Ducati's 2027 project. Because if Marquez is proven right, then the entire point of the regulation change is at least partially defeated by the engineering response to it. And Ducati, the manufacturer with 6 consecutive Constructors' Championships, 4 of the last 5 riders' titles and the one everyone expects to lead the new era, is the team most likely to prove him correct. Let's unpack exactly what Marquez said about this 150cc future. In an interview he laid it all out. When there are new technical rules, they're decided by the championship together with the Manufacturers Association. They decided to reduce the engine displacement, which I agree with, especially because at many circuits we were getting close to 360 km/h. That's unnecessary speed for the show, and it increases the risk a lot. Runoff areas were starting to become too small because riders were arriving faster to that point. So they've adapted the bikes to try to reduce top speed. But I think lap times at many circuits will be very similar or even faster because you have lower weight and horsepower but better handling ***. Let's break his logic down. First, he agrees with the *** reasoning behind the switch. Top speeds had become dangerously high. Second, he believes the bikes will be lighter. Third, he believes they'll handle better. And fourth, the controversial kicker, he believes those 3 factors combined will produce lap times that don't drop off a cliff but stay right where they are or even improve. That fourth claim is the one that sends engineers into heated debates. The whole point of shrinking the engine was to slow the bikes down. If Marquez is right, the regulations may have failed their primary goal before they even take effect. Marquez, ever the realist, added a dose of humility. Nobody can guarantee that you will have the best bike. There is no magic wand here, and as a rider I don't even know if I'll adapt faster than the others, but it's going to be a season of constant evolution. That admission matters. This is the most decorated rider of the modern era, a man who has survived Honda Ducati, the original 100cc days, and the current 1,000cc era. And he still doesn't know if his adaptation skills will translate. That's the kind of intellectual honesty that separates him from the noise. Now let's talk about the prototype itself. The GP 27's first shakedown at Misano on April 13th was a quiet revelation. Dall'Igna's verdict, now quoted across the MotoGP world, was classic understatement. The first impression of the bike was very good, everything worked well and the bike is ready for further testing. For a man who never hands out performance promises lightly, that quote is a celebration. Then came the Mugello test at the end of April, where Pirro ran the full *** package, the new 150cc engine, the new aero configuration, sans ride height devices, Prix prototype 2027 tires and the new fully sustainable fuel. Honda was there too, with Takaki Nakagami on their own prototype. 2 manufacturers, 1 circuit, gathering comparative data. For Ducati, that data confirmed 3 things. The engine architecture works, the aerodynamics work within the new constraints, and the pulley rubber integrates with the Ducati chassis. But here's the early data point that puts Marquez's prediction into sharp perspective. Pirro lapped at 1 minute 39 seconds on the early prototype at Mugello. Marquez had set a 1 minute 35.8 on the GP25 at the same circuit a year earlier. That's a 3.2-second gap. 3 seconds isn't a rounding error, it's a canyon. Right now the 150cc bikes are significantly slower, but that gap will not stay at 3 seconds. By the time the 150cc bikes line up for the first race of 2027, 9 months of testing will have evaporated that deficit. The question is whether the closure will be partial, complete, or, as Marquez suggests, result in the new bikes overtaking the current ones. Ducati's strategy is laser-focused. They've won 6 straight constructors' titles and 4 of the last 5 riders' crowns by pioneering aero, ride height devices, hull shut devices, and increasingly radical solutions. The 150 CC regulations specifically target and ban most of those innovations. Even Ducati's sister company executive, Dumna Cully, from the Audi/Volkswagen Group, has admitted as much. Several technologies Ducati had introduced, particularly ride height adjustment systems, have been removed from the new regulations. That's a Volkswagen Group executive publicly stating that the new rules were designed in part to neutralize Ducati's inventions. The challenge for Ducati is unique. They cannot just replicate their old formula. They must find new competitive advantages within a rulebook written to prevent them from inventing something strunja, Dumna Cully's own phrase. Marquez understands this completely. His prediction isn't accidental. It reflects a working assumption inside Ducati that the engineering response will yield lighter, better handling bikes that generate performance through different physics. The 150 cc engine sits lower in the chassis. The aero restrictions force more efficient designs. The ban on ride height devices simplifies chassis dynamics. The pulley tires have different operating windows than Michelin's. The cumulative effect is a bike that behaves like nothing we've raced in 5 years. And Marquez is one of the riders most likely to extract magic from a machine that demands a new way of thinking. Dive deeper into his technical insight: lower weight and horsepower but better handling. The lower weight comes from the smaller engine and chassis simplifications. The lower horsepower is pure math. 850cc is 15% smaller. But the asterisk better handling is a prediction, based on engineers using the freedom of a simpler chassis and lower weight to create a bike that turns easier, brakes sharper, and accelerates out of corners with more precision. That's the working theory inside every manufacturer's development program right now. Whether it becomes reality depends on execution. For Marquez personally, the 850cc era arrives at a pivotal moment. He's 33, recovering from a shoulder injury that compromised his 2026 season, and he's just been confirmed as a Ducati rider through the end of 2027, with Pedro Acosta expected to join as his teammate, replacing Francesco Bagnaia. That partnership is monstrous. Acosta is one of the most talented young riders on the grid, and his style, favoring strong corner speed and aggressive handling, is exactly what Marquez predicts the new bikes will deliver. Together, they form the strongest two-rider combination in MotoGP. And don't forget Nicolo Bulega. The reigning World Superbike champion has been signed by Ducati specifically for his Pirelli experience. He'll start testing the 850cc prototype in May or June, complementing Pirro's ongoing data gathering. The Pirelli expertise he brings is critical because the tire is the single most uncertain variable in the new regulations. Ducati cannot afford to enter this era without intimate knowledge of how their bike interacts with Italian rubber. The development timetable is now crystal clear. Pirro continues fine-tuning. Bulega joins with Pirelli-specific feedback. A group test for test riders takes place at Misano in late May. Full-time MotoGP riders get their first taste of the 2027 machinery at the official post-race test at Brno in June. From that point, Marquez and Acosta start providing direct race rider feedback. The loop tightens through the rest of 2026 with the bike refined across the European leg. By the end of the year, Ducati will have thousands of laps from multiple riders in varied conditions. That depth of data is what separates contenders from pretenders. Let's also look at the competitive landscape. KTM, Honda, and Yamaha have all completed early prototype runs. Aprilia held off until the Jerez test on April 27th. Each manufacturer brings a different engineering philosophy. Ducati starts as the favorite, thanks to resources, engineering culture, and program depth, but the regulations are designed to reset the order. Aprilia, KTM, and Honda all have realistic paths to closing the gap or even leading. The team that wins 2027 will be the one that adapts fastest to the unholy alliance of 850cc engines, restricted aero, banned ride height devices, and Pirelli tires. That combination is brand new for everyone. For the broader sport, Marquez's prediction tests a fundamental question. Are the new regulations actually achieving their stated goal of reducing speed and improving safety? Or are they just shifting the engineering challenge to different areas while preserving, or even enhancing, the spectacle? If lap times remain similar or get faster, the regulations have succeeded in part. They've changed the technical formula, addressed runoff area concerns, and created a clean break with the past. But they haven't necessarily made the bikes safer in the way some intended. That tension between safety objectives and engineering response is the most fascinating subtext of the new era. So here, where I leave it with you. Is Marc Marquez right that the 850cc bikes will match or beat current lap times despite smaller engines and less aero? Can Ducati maintain its dominance into an era designed to kneecap their innovations? Or have the rule changes successfully leveled the playing field? And will the partnership between Marquez and Pedro Acosta at the factory Ducati team in 2027 go down as the strongest two-rider combination in MotoGP history? I want to know what you think. If this deep dive hit the spot, hit that like button, subscribe for more MotoGP storytelling, and I'll catch you in the next one.